welcome to another edition of Math and Silly Hats, and today we're factoring. Yes, that F word. Now, this is a little bit different than prime factorization, as Alex is going to ask us to list all of the factors, not just the prime factors. For example, 8's prime factorization would be 2 times 2 times 2, but when we're asked to list all the factors of 8, well, 1 times 8 is 8, 2 times 4, and 4 times 2, so we'd have to list both 1, 2, 4, and 8 as factors of 8. Let's do a few practice problems. So what I'm going to do if I'm asked to factor 45, I'm going to list all the whole numbers until I repeat a factor. I'm going to check, do each of those whole numbers have something we can multiply them by to make 45? So let's start with 1. Spoilers, 1 is always going to be a factor of any number that isn't 0, that is a whole number. So 1, well, hopefully we can realize, 1 times 45 is 45. So this is a factor. Next, we're going to try 2. Well, this is an odd number, so we know 2 will not go into it. So this is not a factor. Then we're going to try 3. Well, there's a couple of ways to test these numbers. For 3, we can add the digits of the number, 4 and 5 make 9, and see if that's divisible by 3. It is, so we know it will be divisible by 3. Or we could try dividing 45 by 3 in our calculator and making sure we get an integer. Either way, 3 times 15 is 45. So we know that 3 is a factor. Next, 4. Well, if 2 wasn't a factor, this still isn't even. We know 4 is an even number, so this is not going to be a factor. Next, 5. Well, this number does end in either a 5 or a 0, so we know that 5 is a factor. So, if you were to divide 45 by 5, you would get that it's equal to 9. So 5 times 9 is 45, and this is a factor. Next, we'll try 6. 6, again, is an even number, so it won't go into an odd number. So this will not be a factor. 7. We could try dividing 45 by 7, but we're going to get a decimal, so this is not a factor either. 8. Another even number, so this will not be a factor. And then 9. Well, we know from above that 9 times 5 is 45, so certainly 9 is a factor. So we know that 9 is a factor, but in my instructions I say as soon as we repeat a factor, we can stop. Because we actually had 9 as a factor up here. So I'm going to make sure I make this red so I don't forget it. Then I make this 15 red. And then I make this 45 red. And the reason we can stop here is because we know that 5 times 9 will be the same as 9 times 5. Yes, I could go all the way up to the numbers 45, but I know I'm only going to hit 15 and 45 between now and then, because multiplication is commutative. So, let's rewrite our factors of 45. It asks us to list all the factors, so we need to list each of these factors. I prefer to write them in ascending order, but Alex will accept any order you put them in. So our factors were 1, 3, 5, 9, 15, and 45. Now, these may seem trivial, 1 and 45, because obviously 1 times 45 is 45, but they are factors of 45, so you'll have to make sure you list 1 and the number itself whenever you're asked to list the factors. Let's do one more example problem. Now for the second example, I wanted to factor an even number to show you that it's not trivial. Not always will we have that all of the even numbers won't be factors. So here we certainly know that 2 will be a factor since the number is even, but that doesn't mean every even number will be a factor. So let's go through and check again. Of course we know that 1 times 36 will be 36. So those are both going to be factors. Next, 36 is even, so 2 has to be a factor. And 2 times 18 will be equal to 36. So 18 is also a factor. Visually, I can see that the digits here, 3 and 6, will add up to 9. So this will be divisible by 3 because 9 is divisible by 3. I could also put this in a calculator. 36 divided by 3. See that I get 12. So 3 times 12 is 36. And 3 is also a factor. Next, we'll try dividing this by 4. If you know your times tables, you'll know that 4 times 9 is 36, or we could try dividing it in a calculator. You'd see that 36 divided by 4 would result in 9, so 4 is also a factor of 36. So 4 times 9 gives us 36. So far we're firing on all cylinders. But when we go to check 5, this certainly does not end in a 5 or a 0, so 5 will not be a factor. We know our times tables, or just our perfect squares, we'll know that 36 is 6 times 6. I'm going to write 6 once in red because we know that is a factor, and we're done since we've repeated a factor. 6 times 6 is 36, and we found all the factors of 36. So I'm going to list the factors. I'm going to again go increasing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36. Now, you certainly don't have to write these in ascending order, but for me it helps me not miss any factors. I don't want to do all this work and then forget to write my 12 and get the answer wrong. Hopefully this has helped you, and you can now do these problems on your own in ALEKS. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye!